With the election just 3 weeks from today, the latest polls are as close as they can possibly be without touching, which makes it just that much hotter. And the candidates are doing everything they can to gain an advantage. Kamala Harris just taunted Donald Trump by releasing her medical records, and then Trump tried to turn those records against her.
According to her doctor's report, she suffers from urticaria, defined as a rash of round red welts on the skin that itch intensely, sometimes with dangerous swelling. She also has allergic rhinitis and allergic conjunctivitis, a very messy and dangerous situation. These are deeply serious conditions that clearly impact her functioning.
She has allergic rhinitis and conjunctivitis? The medical term for hay fever? Is there a priest on call? She doesn't have long. That is how healthy Kamala Harris is. Donald Trump is reduced to calling her allergies a very messy and dangerous situation. Although, in fairness to Trump, in this case, it's a woman sneezing, so that makes it more disgusting. A sneeze is the period of the face. Donald Trump suffers from epidermal fragility, but we don't know anything more because he's never released his medical records. Perhaps one of his minions could explain why that's not a problem?
I saw that Kamala Harris issued her medical records. Congratulations. Donald Trump's health is on display for the entire country every hour of every day. He has more stamina and mental acumen and strength than any political figure probably in the history of the country that I can remember.
Sorry, Donald Trump has more strength and stamina than any politician in history? I'd put $100 on Jimmy Carter taking Trump in a push-up contest today. Trump was doing a town hall with puppy shooter Kristi Noem, and all was well. He took 4 questions, and then a couple of people passed out from the heat. And Trump stopped the Q&A to make sure everyone was okay, which was great, although he was still very Trumpy about it.
They're both okay.
Yes.
They're both in good shape.
And that's wonderful.
Would anybody else like to faint?
Anyone else want to pull focus with their medical emergency? Get it out of the way. Calm down, Donald. No one was trying to faint. Trust me, no one wants to have a medical episode in front of Kristi Noem. She's just looking for an excuse to take you to the gravel pit. She cocked her shotgun when she heard Kamala had allergies. But while the staff was attending to the situation, Trump decided to play some music to keep up morale. And this guy really knows what the people want.
So we had a beautiful evening, and I don't know if they could get this song up quickly, but if they could play Ave Maria, if you can get it, Justin, let's go if you can. It's so beautiful, though, right? Listen to that. We have nice music. We're together. Not bad.
Yes.
Not bad.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, everybody, very much.
Wow, Ave Maria, huh? You sure you don't want to get the crowd hyped with some Gregorian chants instead? All right, warming up the crowd, easing them into it, then you hit them with the banger, a different version of the same song.
If my guys can hear me, let's listen to Pavarotti sing Ave Maria. Can you hear that? They gave me the Ave Maria with no voice. Put on Pavarotti singing Ave Maria. Nice and loud. Turn it up louder. We want a little action here. Turn it up louder.
Just lapping it up. Why does Trump know so much about Ave Maria? Was it used in a McDonald's commercial? Man, he really loves that song. Who's going to tell him it's about a virgin? And look look at poor Kristi Noem. I gotta say, this is the most I've ever related to her. Because we have all been in a situation where a guy mansplains his Spotify playlist to you. So that was the Pavarotti version. Now let me play you a live version Fish did at Red Rocks. Then poor Kristi tries to get things back on track so she can ask more questions, but Trump was just in full DJ mode.
Let's not do any more questions. Let's just listen to music. Let's make it into a music. Who the hell wants to hear questions, right?
Everyone's always criticizing Kamala for not being specific with her policies. Meanwhile, Trump's like, shh, 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 no questions, no talking. We're just going to vibe for a while. Just going to let my body do the talking. And if you're wondering, after 40 minutes of this, did they ever actually get back to answering questions? Almost.
So, this has been an honor tonight. We could do another question or two if you'd like, but probably. Do you want to do one? Do you want to do? Let's go. Let's go. You know, but it ends so beautifully. How about this? We'll play YMCA and we'll go home.
Young man, there's no need to feel down.
Probably a good idea to shut down questions, since I'm pretty sure the next one would have been, hi, sir, what the is going on? So today, the Trump campaign, I mean Fox News, organized a town hall for him with an all-female audience. And just take a look at this set they built with an old-timey wagon and bales of hay. It's a reminder of the good old days when men were men and women weren't allowed to vote. But go ahead, Donald, reassure women that you're on their side. Just don't make it creepy.
IVF, you had mentioned before
Right,
IVF.
let's get this question, because I believe that's what this is about.
Oh, I want to talk about IVF. I'm the father.
You don't hear that every day.
I'm the father of IVF, so I want to hear this question.
So close. So close. It's not enough for you to say that you support IVF. You've got to make it weird and say, I'm the father of IVF. It sounds like he broke into the lab and fertilized all the eggs with his own pudding. Now I can never eat pudding again. So Darth Trump is IVF's father. I didn't see that coming, but what about other important issues? Well, Fox wasn't so cruel as to put Trump in front of a room of any women. They hand-selected conservative supporters, which might explain why one particular women's issue came up.
How do you plan on addressing the transgender issue in women's sports?
We stop it. We absolutely stop it. You can't have it.
How do you stop it? Do you go to the sports leagues? Do you go to the Olympic
You just ban
councils?
it. The president bans it. You just don't let it happen.
Yes, as everyone knows, the president has three major responsibilities: commanding the military, signing bills into law, and personally managing the rules for every JV field hockey team. It's right there in the Constitution on page, what the are you talking about? That is not a presidential power. I shouldn't have to explain this to someone who has already been president. Does he think the Supreme Court will just let him do what? Oh, yeah. Yes, they probably will. They probably will. But while Trump's reaching out to women, Kamala's trying to shore up support with another demographic, black men, which is crazy. I really thought that Taylor Swift endorsement would totally seal it. But in the past few days, Kamala's gone on The Breakfast Club, Roland Martin, The Shade Room, all the shows that make your racist uncle lock the car doors when they come on the radio. And in addition to her interviews, she released a plan specifically aimed at winning over black male voters.
Harris announced a new plan aimed at winning them over, including $1 million forgivable small business loans, a focus on health issues that disproportionately affect black men, and legalizing recreational marijuana to boost the industry and create new jobs.
It also supports pathways for black men to become educators, promises to protect their cryptocurrency investments.
Wait, I get the business loans and healthcare, but crypto? I guess because black men deserve the opportunity to be scammed like everyone else? And legalizing weed should be popular too, but Kamala is a former prosecutor, so it's always a little suspicious when a cop approaches black men to offer them marijuana. Hey, I heard you guys like drugs. Me too. But there's one black man that Kamala definitely doesn't need to win over. That's right, Barack Obama. Barack, give us that sweet, sweet hope and change.
Former President Barack Obama delivering a surprise lecture to black men today, accusing them of having sexist reasons for not wanting to vote for Kamala Harris.
Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. So now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down? That's not acceptable.
You're in trouble. I think this was the first time someone told an entire demographic it was grounded. I didn't feel bad for the guys in that room. They were like, President Obama's coming in today. What's he going to talk about? How much you suck shit. Now, as much as Harris is focusing on black men, it's important to have some perspective because polls show that Kamala is getting support from about 80% of black men versus about 20% for Trump. Or as Trump would put it,
and my numbers with the black, and especially black men, I love black men. I love them. I love them. I have gone through the roof with black men. Black men.
Black men. He says it like he's been practicing really hard not to call them something else. Yes. Both Kamala and Trump went into the lion's den this week. Although they only got Trump there by telling him it was the name of a strip club. Now, Kamala's lion's den was Fox News, so I guess it was a fox den where she sat down with Bret Baier, so maybe it was a bear's den. Anyway, it doesn't matter what animal it was. The point is, it was very tense.
The first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the elite. Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
But you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand, Madam Vice President.
How Donald Trump has
all of this money
has treated and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers,
Hamas,
has diminished
and
the significance.
We're talking over each other. I apologize.
Sorry, can we get that mute button from the debate so she can complete a sentence? Come on, Brett, you invited her on to speak with you. This is an interview with the vice president, not sex with your wife. You have to let the woman finish. Come on. The whole interview is like this. When he wasn't trying to shut her up, he was trying to put words in her mouth.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states?
It's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk for anyone.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is it?
I would never say that about the American people.
I would never say that about the American people. I would think it. I'm only human, but I would never say it. Never. Come on, Brett. That was such an obvious trap. Now, Madam Vice President, just put on this I'm with stupid t-shirt and stand next to this map of the United States. So that was Kamala's experience in the Lion's Den, an interview with the news network that openly serves as the propaganda arm of her opponent. But Trump also faced down his biggest fear: Hispanic people. He attended a Univision town hall where one man asked him about January 6th. And if I'm reading that man's facial expression correctly, he was not impressed.
You know, what happened during January 6th and the fact that, you know, you waited so long to take action while your supporters were attacking the Capitol.
These are people that walked down. This was a tiny percentage of the overall, which nobody sees and nobody shows. But that was a day of love from the standpoint of the millions.
Your dad gives you when you've obviously been lying to him. No, Dad, actually, they switched all the grades around, so now F is the highest. Anyway, before you go out to the garage, I don't know where the car is. But that face makes total sense, because what is Trump talking about? January 6th was a day of love? Sure, we all remember January 6th. That was the day when countless rioters found their soulmate. Wait, I read that wrong. Cellmate. They got cellmates. Cellmates. And in fact, the whole audience was one big reaction gift. Just watch the crowd's reaction as Trump continues his rambling answer on January 6th.
Some of those people went down to the Capitol. I said, peacefully and patriotically, nothing done wrong at all, nothing done wrong. And action was taken, strong action. Ashley Babbitt was killed. Nobody was killed.
Yes, this is the appropriate reaction to when Trump speaks. I have never felt more seen. I can't believe I had to watch Univision to feel like I had representation on TV.